All right, well, we're here doing it. So the first thing I did before really getting involved in the tank drop is I have a donor truck that we're doing the Duramax swap with. I pulled the tank out of it, pulled the sending unit out of that, plugged it into the truck, and the fuel gauge started working. This one, all of a sudden the fuel gauge went to empty, low fuel lights on, and that's where it's stuck. So, but if I plug this one in, it comes up and you can move the little arm and the fuel gauge works. So we're gonna drop the tank. Let me show you kind of what's involved here. First thing I did is got this skid plate out of the way. This is a long bed. My donor truck didn't have a skid plate. I don't know if that's just the long bed thing. We got a bolt here, here, and two right here, and then it folds out of the way. And then there's little tab things that it hooks on over there on that heat shield. And then it'll come out of the way over there. Then you need to unhook your fuel lines. Now Chevy uses these push connect wampers. And the long bed trucks, I'm pretty sure the fuel cooler is in the same place on the short bed trucks and the long bed trucks, but the long bed truck has this bigger tank, so it's a little bit more kind of a pain to work in. So this line here comes off the sending unit. Now I'm gonna get a new one of these put on that's stripped out, so I just teed these together, but I've got a fast lift pump over here and then a homemade water separator here. But this line here would be hooked where this blue line goes. So you unhook this blue line off right here where it connects, but it will be this line. You unhook that line off of there, and then your other line, your return is here. You unhook that off of there, and then that line and this line will stay with the tank. And then you reach up, there's usually enough slack on them, you can drop it with that plug and you can unplug it, but there's enough room with this bed on it, and even with the other bed, you can unplug that. And then you've got these two straps. You got a 16 millimeter up there and back there on those straps, and then you undo the fuel fill. And on the regular beds, this one's a big ugly sucker because I got a utility body on it, but the regular beds, you can unbolt it from the side of the bed. Oh, that was my head. You can unbolt the fuel filler from the side of the bed, and then you have this ground strap, and then that you can fish this out through the frame and leave that all connected to the tank and get the tank out without, all you have to do is unbolt these three little screws and then push this down through and then put the fuel cap back on and then undo that ground strap, and that will come out. And that's all you got to do to drop this tank. Now, I did try to drain the tank. I took my pressure line off the bottom of this pump and it spewed out maybe a quart of fluid and then quit. And I know the tank's not empty. There's only like 450 or 500 miles on this tank, so there's probably 10 gallons left in there. So I don't know why it quit pumping. Wouldn't be surprised if that fast pump's done. If their fast lift pumps are as quality as their fuel lines, look at these, they're rotten. I've been meaning to change those for a hot minute. So let me get those two lines on the front undone and then get this fuel neck off of here, and then we can drop this tank out of here and see what the heck the deal is. Hopefully the float has come off of the arm or something. But yeah, I have that donor one, luckily, and it's just an O'Reilly unit. It's not an original unit, but the little clippies kind of messed it up here. So hopefully the one that's in there, the little float or something, has come off of the arm. But my guess is we're gonna end up putting that one in. So stay tuned. Let me get that tank dropped out of there. I'll show you how to take that sending unit out of the tank. So here we go. Okay, so I got my lines all unhooked. This one's gotta come over here. Okay, and I got my fuel filler off there. The sending unit's already unplugged. reach. Catching on here. Okay. There it is. I don't know, maybe it was empty. Okay, I'm gonna see if I can fish this thing out of here and work on it out there. Okay, so these things, sometimes you want them in there as far as they'll go. Sometimes you gotta wiggle them and push them. I'm sorry, hitting you guys. And that should pop off like that. Try to keep the dirt out of those, but that's why we invented fuel filters. But do our best. Now, there's a little lock tab here you got to pull back. And then if you tap on this lock ring, it's got to go counterclockwise slightly. Tap on your hammer and get it going. And then get you a punch or something and just work this around. That'll unlock. And then we'll sneak that off of there. What? Ah, what did I tell you? The float came off, the sucker. Alright, well, I gotta do some fishing. I'll catch you back here in a minute. So if you guys don't have a vacuum handy, but you have compressed air, take your blow nozzle, poke a little hole in a rubber hose, and point that nozzle down this way, and then when you blow through it, you'll get a vacuum right here. Just make sure you're pointing that in somewhere that you don't want all that crap to go. All right, let me do some fishing. We'll see if we can find that float piece. It's probably broke. Let's see if we can take it off that other one. And we can borrow the arm off the other one and put this one back in, because I know this sending unit, where it comes on and when it's empty and this and that, so, and it still works fine. And it's probably a better one than the Precision you get at O'Reilly. So let me see if I can find this one. We'll borrow that other one. So to change this arm, take your little teeny pry bar screwdriver and go right under here and just give it a real gentle pry, and that whole thing should just pop out of there, because I don't think we're going to be able to bend that and slide the other one on. So we'll just borrow that a whole arm, and then this should just push back in real easy like, if we don't bend this arm, hopefully. just like that. Okay, now we got an arm with a float. We can go back together. We'll change all those rubber fuel lines while we're at it. All right, we got that new arm in there with the floaty. Let's just push down and then lock that baby on, hook the lines back up, and that's ready to go back in. So I don't know if I'll show you much of that. It's just reverse operation there. And then I got to change some of those rubber lines because they're getting rotten. They've been rotten for a minute. So we'll probably call that one good enough for now. So hopefully this helps somebody. These Chevy tanks, this is an 02. I think these are about the same from like 99 to 09, 08, 07. I don't know, but they're actually super simple to drop. And with them making the connections down here, you don't have to get up on top of the tank to undo these. So you can just, I mean, and there's enough slack here that you could probably pop them out of there and drop them and do these down there. But yeah, they give you the service connections right here to do all this stuff. So you can unhook it all there and then drop the tank out super easy. And this has got enough on it. So they're not too bad of a deal. I've seen guys lift the bed and all that, and I think that's way more work than just dropping the tank. The hardest part would be emptying the tank if it had enough in it. This was surprisingly empty. I only got that little quart out of it, and it's pretty empty. So we're probably gonna have to go get 5 or 10 gallons to put in it right here, because with it up on this angle on these blocks, I don't know if it's gonna pick fuel up. So, and we got to fill a new filter. We're probably gonna change the other fuel filter. I need to look at my records. I'm pretty sure that fuel filter on the engine's probably got 60,000 miles on it. So hopefully this helps somebody. Give it a thumbs up, share it, all that fancy jazz you're supposed to do on YouTube. See you guys in the next one.